she disappears in a role so completely that it's like, I don't even know how else to explain it.
And that's why I think she's an alien. Spread the rumor.
Hello, darlings, and welcome back to another episode of Pause Pod, a podcast where two gals who love film try to yap their way into becoming indie darlings. I am Danny.
And I am Kara. Love the energy. Do you think it's because, okay, if you're watching the video version, Danny and I, both not planned, are sporting severe slick back ponytails?
Slick.
And maybe it's like the bad bitch, like businesswoman that's coming out and we're putting a pep in her step.
Yeah, there's something about a slip back that like makes me feel that I can handle anything. Like on my, like I think it's because I have so much on my to-do list. I have lots going on in my life that I'm like, I have so much to do today that I'm just like slick back pony. Let's get this done. That's what I think.
And I do think, sorry, while on the topic, I just need to ask your opinion. To me, in my head, like a slick back bun is very different than a slick back pony.
Slick back ponytail.
A slick back pony is like you are a show horse, so you still have a look.
I'm a horse. You're literally a horse girl. So.
Oh my gosh, guys. Yeah, that was a part of my past. Guys, it's because I read. Oh my god, I love the chaos of this intro. I was a horse girl briefly in my childhood. I mean, one could argue once a horse girl, always a horse girl.
Once a horse girl, always a horse girl.
But it's because when I was 6, I read Black Beauty, seminal novel of our times.
Right.
And I was so obsessed. My parents got me horseback riding lessons. Anyway, long story short, I horseback rode for a couple years, and then I fell off and broke my ankle and never got back on the horse, no pun intended.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me of like when I quit piano because I was taking violin. And I was taking violin lessons like when I was like a kid for a while. And allegedly, according to my mother, but can she be believed? Allegedly, I was really good at it. But then my violin teacher died of a heart attack. And I thought that I killed him because of my bad violin playing. And so I never picked up a violin again.
Sweet baby girl. Oh my god.
But it's like a little funny.
You doing violin actually makes sense. Like in another life, that's just a part of your ecosystem, I think.
It's because my mom, like my parents, really like they trained me from a really young age for the life that I knew. For the life I've always known that I was meant to live, which is wealth. Like they put me in so many rich people activities, and I'm like, I love that for me. And like they knew they're like this girl. And I think it's because of my great grandmother, because fresh out the womb, she saw me open my eyes really early, and she's like, she's gonna be curious and she's gonna be rich. I don't know how she got that from me opening my eyes, but I think my parents took that to heart and was like, let us train her for wealth.
To be rich, one must be curious, except if you inherit it. But to build, you must be curious.
To build. And that's kind of been my New Year's resolution, like this year, is to be like disgustingly well-rounded. So like disgustingly well-read. Like I want to study art history. Like I want to go to the orchestra. Like I want to go to the opera. I want to go watch the ballet. Like I want to be part of that kind of ecosystem, so to speak, prepare myself for my future of wealth.
Honestly, sometimes when I'm feeling down, I think about like my 60-year plan, which my 60-year plan is I want to be an old patron of the arts. Like I want to be that woman. I want to have a faux fur shawl. I want to have pearls. I want to go to places where I need gowns, and I want to be the benefactor that's just donating to, you know where it all stemmed from? Sorry, this is the longest intro, but like please go on the journey with us. You like our personalities, or you wouldn't be listening.
I hope.
But I went to one of the Peggy Guggenheim museums,
Ooh.
and we all know if I'm my first dog will be named Peggy Guggenheim, it's been discussed.
Yes.
And she was just a person, she used her New York socialite, like, Rockefeller money to just collect artists and fund artists. Kind of like, to bring it back full circle, when you have a slick back ponytail and you're like, you're still fun and fancy free, but you're stylish.
Right.
That's Peggy's energy.
Okay.
Anyway, but oh my god. Anyway, but my 60-year plan is to be like Peggy Guggenheim and collect artists and just fund them living so that the only thing they have to worry about is art, and then every so often I'll, like, show up at a banquet, you know?
Oh, I can't wait to live this glorious life with you
Yeah, we
when
could just
we're
go to the opera
elderly
together.
and
Mhm.
when we're retired and we can just, like, have our shared
Mhm.
garden and we could
And
have
our
little
painting
dinner
easels next to each
parties
other.
and we could paint. Oh my god.
Guys, that's a 60-year
Stop.
plan.
That's a 60-year plan.
We're gonna do morning yoga in our 80s and then go out to the garden and paint.
Yes.
Anyways, okay, so
Listen,
this episode
I thought that was a
that was
beautiful
fun.
tangent. That
I
was
had
fun.
fun. I had fun.
But pulling it back to horseback riding,
Connect it.
Shakespearean connecting Shakespearean time, they rode horses
They
during
did.
that era.
Mhm.
And we are, if you haven't guessed, going to be talking about a film centered around Shakespeare's son, Hamnet.
Hamnet.
I got there. I
Yes.
got there.
And you were
I
connecting the
got
points like
there.
6 degrees of separation. It's all connected. Everything is connected. Don't let them tell you otherwise. So we are going to be talking about Hamnet, a film that we've both highly anticipated and
Yes.
needs to be delved into. This film has so much in it, and I'm so excited to chat with my girl about it. And then we decided, you know what? Who was the standout person in this film? None other than Jessie Buckley,
Yeah.
our North Star. I mean, I'm convinced that she's not fully human with the way that she acts. It's just off the charts insane.
Right. You know what I was thinking? Touching on Miss Buckley herself,
Miss
I've
Buckley.
like Miss Buckley herself, her face is such a she has a very distinct face. Like you could
Mm,
like her face is very recognizable.
striking.
Yet in almost every single role that she's been in for me, I'm like, that Jessie? Like that's her?
She
Like
disappears.
I think it's because she disappears in a role so completely that it's like, I don't even know how else to explain it.
And that's why I think she's an alien. Spread the rumor. But no, I have very specific points in my notes that we'll get to that just says Jessie Buckley facial muscles. And we'll get into it.
And get into it. That's so funny.
We love Jessie Buckley, and in
We
talking
do.
about this film, we kept talking about her, and so for our rewind today, we want more Jessie, and we're going to go back to, I guess, one of her B-sides, although it did get award recognition when it came out, which is Wild Rose, which I'm so excited to chat about. And I love expanding our UK film knowledge. It's always fun to kind of
Yeah.
delve into the weeds. So okay, also buckle up. If you clicked on this, I'm sure you want to hear about the film Hamnet and you know it's about. But just a disclaimer, we're going to be talking a lot about the death of a child and grief. So if that is not your thing, totally okay. Skip to our rewind on Wild Rose and we'll catch you later. But here we go. Let's press play on Hamnet. I guess we'll give a brief synopsis for people. Hamnet is also the name of William Shakespeare's son. And this movie centers around Shakespeare's early life and his wife, Agnes, and their children, their life at home, and how the play Hamlet was in part inspired by the loss of his son, the death of his son, Hamnet, and how that is all interconnected to him as an artist and his family and his wife and their grief together. So heavy stuff, but this film, as heartbreaking as it was, and I was crying fat tears in this movie
Mm.
theater. I think everyone around me was. It was an amazing shared experience. But this film also feels so buoyant to me, and so, dare I say uplifting? It's not quite the right word, but I think what I wanna start with and the reason why I think it did buoy us in those moments was the emphasis on nature and the natural world in this
Mm.
film. I was listening to an amazing interview with Chloé Zhao, the director, co-writer, and co-editor. I believe it was the New Yorker's Radio Hour. I'll link it down below. It's only like a 25-minute interview, so it's great, quick one. But she made the joke that nature was an HOD on the film, that it was a department head, because so much of the
Mm.
film and so much of the shooting in this film, the framing of not just, you know, the cinematography, but the characters was in nature and the natural
Mm.
world. And I wanted to ask you, Danny, like, what struck you about this film and its relation to nature?
The one thing that gets me and that got me so deeply was when she was giving birth to the twins and it had flooded and she couldn't get back to, like, not spoiler, kind of spoiler, but she gave birth to their first child in the deep of the woods, in the dead of the woods, underneath a tree, because that is where her mother birthed her, and that's where her mother birthed like, her grandmother birthed like, her mom, and just seeing, like, the visceral reaction of her, like, being forced to give birth in this sort of, like,
Inside.
westernized way felt very, very reminiscent of the ways in which I wanna say, like, Native American culture has been, like, stripped and
Mhm.
just taken from them, and same with African cultures, and if you know much about birthing, and giving birth in those times, like, there are very specific positions for a woman to be in to make birthing easier and less harmful and less dangerous to both the mother and the child, and, like, seeing her, like, strapped down and restricted from the very thing that, like, throughout the whole movie gave her life and gave her purpose, and it was the only thing that, like, she really connected to, which was nature and natural herbs and, like, using that in
Mhm.
medicinal ways, but in food and healing ways, and seeing that stripped from her was painful. It was a hard watch for me,
Mhm. And I
personally.
think, that scene stands out to me as well because for 2 reasons, like what you just said of we saw just the magnificence, is that a word?
Mhm, mhm,
Magnitude, I guess, of her giving birth to her first child in the forest, and she just felt the way it was shot, she feels held by the forest, and she feels very
mm,
much just one with it and comforted by it, and the forest is, like, I guess representative of her mother and just this feminine lineage and its connection to nature, and how nature is very feminine. You know, Mother Nature is a reason why we attribute those qualities to it. And the excuse of the people around her why they won't let her go to the forest is because there's an incredible storm happening and the forest is flooded and the village is being flooded. So they're like, you have to stay indoors. And while she's giving birth, there's this gorgeous shot of water coming in from under the door. And I almost saw that as the water and nature trying to reach her,
reach
like
her.
reaching out towards her, which is so beautifully shot. And the other thing that I think is it was subtly done, but I really appreciated that the women, I guess the more industrialized women that are helping her give birth, they they believe what they're doing is correct. Like they believe that
Mhm,
this is actually better for her and this is, you know, how their mothers gave birth and there's such a connection to like those this maternal lineage of Agnes's mother gave birth in the forest and taught her about the forest, and then these women were taught by their mothers in, you know, giving birth indoors, and you don't criminalize them for that, like, obviously, you
mhm,
feel sad that they're keeping Agnes from the forest, but I was like, that's almost more sad that, like, they believe
mhm,
that this is right. I was also kind of struck by, you know, there's jokes made about Agnes being a witch and her mother being a witch
mhm,
because they spend so much time in the forest. But the way that this film frames her connection to nature, it's almost like she's like, what if I am a witch? Like
mm,
this is all that I know and I know what I'm doing feels right, so I don't care how it looks. And I think feeling over thought is a huge, huge part of this film.
And going on to that, I also really appreciated that in connection to, like, the patriarchy because, like, when her and William Shakespeare, decide
Willie.
to Willie decide to get married, like, his family was, like, very much against it because, like, of her connection to this and, like, she's a witch and whatever, but her brother, Agnes's brother, was very, like, because he was taught by his mother as well, like, he
Mhm.
still has those memories, and he was like, "Yeah, girl," like, you can tell that that brother instinct, like, he believed her, and it's so often, like, men of that time would be very controlling over the women that they are kind of over because he was her guardian from as much as
Mhm.
I could tell, like, he was the one marrying her off, like, he
Yeah,
had
he owned the
guardianship,
house,
he owned the
yeah.
house exactly, but even beyond that, when she got married, he came to her for counsel, like, when something was happening with the bees, like, he called her and he took her
Mhm.
seriously, and he took her craft seriously, and, that was just something refreshing to see, like, I was I was pleasantly surprised by the relationship, and the strength of relationship and the mutual respect because during this time, it's not often that you see a sort of mutual respect given between a woman and a man that is her guardian, but
Mhm.
it was a very good like, depiction of sibling relationship, like, it was a really good sibling dynamic that I just was, like, really surprised to see, but a very beautiful depiction of a sibling dynamic and of having somebody in her corner, especially considering the relationship that she has with her stepmother, to
Mhm.
have her brother, who is the head of the house, be protective over her, yes, but also be like, "I believe her, and I take her seriously." I think that that was really impactful to see.
Mhm. It even, like it's done in a playful way, but when she,
Yeah.
finds out that she's pregnant and she wants to marry Will,
Mhm.
Bartholomew, her brother, is like, "Why do you wanna marry some pasty scholar?" Because like, their whole life and, like,
Yeah.
even their makeup, they're always flushed, like, they're always, like, very
Mhm.
connected to nature and being outside and moving their bodies and, like, everything yeah, down from their makeup to their costuming, like, they're so grounded, and to be met with, like, the intellectual of William Shakespeare who's so in his head and not in his body, but I think it's
Mhm.
part of why he does fall for Anya. But one more thing before we move on from the nature of it all. I mean, this film is filled with beautiful shots of nature and framing of nature. But it wasn't until I had watched the whole film that I remembered how striking the first shot of this film is, which is Anya's laying kind of in this hollow in the ground in the
Mhm.
forest, and she's in red, but everything around her is kind of brown and green because she's just being held and she's sleeping in the forest. And it just got me thinking like, wow, there's actually so much imagery of the womb and
Mhm.
so much feminine framing of nature in this film. I mean, not just, in those literal sense of Anya's later gives birth, but emotionally, she and her children always go back to nature. And it's this
Mhm.
maternal connection, which, I mean, this film, I think, is one of these films that every time you watch it, you'll probably find something new. But I just thought, wow, like this is so visually intentional. And for a story about grief, which is an unfathomable thing and it's different in each person. It's very hard to put into words. Chloe Zhao continually relies on visuals and visual metaphors to carry us through this film. And another one that I loved was when Hamnet dies, I interpreted it as this purgatory, like he hasn't moved on
Mhm.
to heaven, his soul hasn't moved on yet. And they use the forest set that you'll later see in Hamlet,
And
and
I'm like,
he's just in there crying, calling for his mom, and again,
"Yeah."
like, it's nature, but it's fake nature, and it's like he feels disconnected and he hasn't moved on yet. It's just gorgeous. It's so, so
But it's
gorgeous.
it's it's almost as if, like, even looking at it, even the manufacture of nature, I feel like could have been a comfort for him because even if it's
Yeah.
fake, that's what he knows. Like, even if it
Mhm.
was manufactured, like, it's almost as if death is trying to, like, ease him
Comfort him.
and
Yeah.
comfort him into the afterlife. It's like, I'm giving him this familiar setting so that he's not startled or that he's not scared in this passing, which I thought was beautiful. But going back a little bit as to what you were saying earlier about the first shot of her being cocooned, I think that is also like just a very early visual representation that is setting her up as a child of nature. Like that she belongs to the forest first and then to everything else second. And yeah, that shot is just beautiful. It is as if she's a child in utero, like being cocooned like in the womb of nature. Which yeah, is just a gorgeous, gorgeous shot.
It's beautiful. And then the one other sort of visual metaphor that I wanted to chat about and that I wanted to hear your opinions about was because I think the way this film is framed, you see Agnes and you see Will and you see their connection and then through grief their disconnection as a
Mm,
couple and this sort of ebb and flow and then towards the end they you kind of get a spark of oh they're coming back together again and they have some
right.
understanding. But it's established again with Anya's and her connection to nature and her, we'll call it witchy powers. I guess it's her intuition. She's very tapped into her intuition.
Mhm.
And it's established early on that if she touches someone's hand, she will get a vision related to that person or can understand a person by touching them on their hand. And when she first meets Will and they're falling in love, she touches him and she's like, "Oh, I see landscapes and I see never-ending forests and I see caves and depth." And she describes so much by touching him. And then later, after their son passes, she's also harboring so much anger because Will wasn't there when he was in
Mhm.
London doing his Shakespeare thing when their son passed away and he got there like I think a few hours too late. So she also harbors so much anger at him and to comfort her he reaches his hand out as if to say, touch me, see me. And she goes, I see nothing. And it's
Mm.
just such a shorthand to tell the audience, oh, we are not in the same place that we were before. And you could have so many monologues and so many words to try and describe her grief, but just setting up that visual of she can no longer see him. I just found so cutting. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this couple is suffering."
Yeah, it can also be that she literally saw nothing because the place that he had to have been in to write Hamlet,
Yeah.
which again, as a Willie Shake fan stan myself,
Danny's kind of a scholar, not gonna lie.
I
Y'all don't know this about her because I know that she contains multitudes, but Danny's a little bit of a Willie Shakes expert.
I am a I'm a little bit of a Willie Shakes expert, so to speak. I'm not gonna toot my horn or anything, but
Toot it.
I've read almost all of his plays, and I know a lot about him. I'm somewhat called a fangirl.
Love his work.
Love his work, love his work. And Hamlet, I've read 1,000 times because it is
Mhm.
my favorite of his tragedies, but it's dark and it's full of grief, and you can tell the grief and pain and nothingness that he must have felt while writing this, and she could have very well just seen, like, an empty pit inside of him when she did touch him because in writing Hamlet, the grief was all-consuming, like, it was
Mhm.
all-consuming, and you kind of get a glimpse of that when William is at the shore of the Thames, and and
Mm.
he is writing the most famous "To Be or Not to Be" monologue, and he's writing it in his head as he is very well, from context clues or as we're supposed to grasp as an audience, contemplating suicide. Like, you could tell that he does not feel as though his life is worth living anymore, and you get that pain and you get that conflict that you can see of him trying to fight to stay alive, to fight to not throw himself into the river and to not let the grief consume him and eat him whole. And yeah, like it is again, like as you were saying, her touching him being like, I see nothing, is her grief consuming her, but also his consuming
Mhm.
him as well. And yeah, yeah, just incredible visual storytelling there.
Going off of you kind of segueing us into Hamlet itself, one thing I
Mm.
really appreciated about this film is that they they intercut so many of the family
Mm,
scenes with him in process writing Hamlet,
mhm.
because at first, it's not a one for one, like, this is a play about my dead child,
Right.
because there's so much mixed up with, Hamlet and that kingdom and Claudius and
Mhm.
there's all these things that are it's not a one for one comparison. But what they did by intercutting, with the to be or not to be speech or the get thee to the nunnery scene between Ophelia and Hamlet right after Will has had an argument with Agnes, like you can see that this play is full of him and it's
Mm,
not
mhm.
necessarily like honing in on one exact thing. It's just
Yeah.
all of his emotion that he was feeling at this time. He let motivate his characters, and yes, he's telling a bigger story and a
Mhm.
grander story that if you did not know about the death of his child, you could still understand this play. But having that
Right.
context and knowing that it's in every corner of this
Mm,
work, which I really appreciated because to live, he has to create, and that was shown
mhm,
very early on in
mhm.
their early marriage where he has writer's block and he actually cannot function. Like he's torn up about it and Agnes even says like, "Do you regret marrying me?" And he's like, "No, no, I just can't like," and he can't even express himself because he can't create. So my point is that framing the writing like that, that to live he has to create and to get through this he has to create and he's
Mhm.
making something new out of it, which is now letting him grieve and buoying
Yeah.
him, which I just thought was so smart and so great. But speaking of that, I wanted to ask you, so I mentioned the scene where he is struggling to write,
Mhm.
and one thing that really struck me about first of all, props to Paul Mescal having to portray William Shakespeare. Pressure,
But he did it.
pressure,
He did it
but
wonderfully,
he did it, and he did it beautifully and so
beautifully.
subtly and grounded. So props to Paul. I know we're, like, here to be like, "Jessie,"
Yeah,
but, like
no, like,
Paul,
honestly, it was, like, as if
he was a real person.
yes, like,
Mhm,
you can bolster William up to, like, "Oh, he is the greatest poet, and, like,
mhm.
he is William Shakespeare," but he brought a humanity to William that I don't think I've ever seen. You
No,
know
I've
what I
never
mean?
seen. He's either, like, portrayed in his older life, or he's, like, young, cocky, witty, salacious
Like,
William Shakespeare.
pretentious,
Yeah.
like, very, but Paul's rendition of him is just achingly human,
Mhm,
and that is how I'd want to believe
mhm,
William to be.
mhm. Yeah, and I think it all goes back to there was so much restraint in his performance,
Mm.
and the scene that comes to mind sorry, I know I'm ping-ponging around, but I will get there. The scene that comes to
Ping
mind
pong.
is when he sees Hamnet's dead body, and to
Mm.
frame it for the audience, if you haven't seen the film, Hamnet is a twin. He has a twin sister named Judith, and Judith gets sick with the plague because never forget the plague. She's everywhere. The Black Death. So Agnes and the family have written to William in London being like, get your ass back here. Your daughter has the plague. Time is of the essence. So that's what he thinks is happening. And during the night, Judith has finally gone to sleep after, struggling with the plague and Anya's trying to heal her. And baby Hamnet comes down and he's like comforting his sister and he like kind of prays to death, like he talks to death personified and he's like, take me instead, take me instead. And he switches places with her. And then wake up the next morning, Judith is fine, and now Hamnet has the plague and he has died. So Will is coming into the scene and he sees Judith and he's like, "Oh, thank God." And he has this like euphoric almost moment of my daughter is alive. And then he sees his dead son. And that scene has so
Ugh.
much room for hyperbole. Like these are huge emotions. He's going from being elated to being devastated. And Paul just played it with such
Ugh.
subtlety and restraint. It's like the emotion lived within him and he was like, it was leaking out. It wasn't pouring out, it was leaking out. And to act with such restraint, I think you can't have that much ego as an actor
Mm.
because you're like, this
Mhm.
is what's best for the story and not
Yeah.
my Academy Award winning performance, you know?
Yeah. Just you saying that it was leaking out, like, that was a beautiful yeah. Paul claps and snaps, bro. Claps and snaps.
And when I was listening to this New Yorker interview with Chloé Zhao, she was saying that in the book Hamnet, Shakespeare's way more talkative, he's way more witty, but she was like, I think the reason that I was chosen to direct this film was because she comes from China and she did go to high school in England, I believe, but she goes, I didn't have this burden of reverence that a lot of Western people have for Shakespeare, of him being this greatest writer of all
Mm.
time. Obviously, she respects him and has reverence for him, but she was like, I didn't have that burden to portray him in a certain way. So I wanted for their love story and for the story of grief for him to have that blockade and to only be able to express himself through his work, which I was like, that does take bravery to take
Mm.
this iconic person and bravery on her part and Paul's part, and to be like, for the story, he needs to struggle to express himself so that the moment when Jessie Buckley looks at him after she's seen Hamlet and she's like, oh, like she breathes out, like, now I understand my husband. Like, but for us to get
Yeah.
there, we have to be
Had to we had to
struggle.
be there. And even going back to what you were saying about Chloe, is that there was a different interview, and I think it was Paul that was the focus of this interview. 'Cause Chloe was like when you were saying that she doesn't have the same burden of reverence for Shakespeare, but there was still, like, a fear there, like, she was still very afraid of portraying him in the way that she thought was authentic because she knows that most of us do have that sort of reverence for him, and it's like, English isn't my first language, so it was harder for me to really understand some of his work and the nuances of his phrasing and his wording and as most people have a even if English is your first language, you
You
can
still
struggle
struggle.
reading
Mhm.
Shakespeare, you know what I mean? Like, it is not just a foreign language kind of situation. And so she was like, to depict him in a way that felt genuine, like it was really hard for her, to understand his work and try to, like, intellectualize it, and it was Paul that went up to her and was talking to her and, was like something along the lines of, like, his words are meant to be felt, like,
Yeah.
and that is what it is more about, like, his and that is why his plays are meant to be seen, they're meant to be performed because it's I don't even know how to describe it,
Iambic
it's
pentameter, babe.
right, like it all I can go back to is it is meant to be felt, and he was like, "Let that be your center, like, don't let the words be the center, don't let the intellect or the praise behind his mind be the center," like, it all comes back to feeling and the emotions that he is trying to invoke with his words and with these plays, and because it is human, it's a human tale, and it is a human story. And we talked about this in the Darling Awards, that the people want human, and I cannot think of a more human story that I've seen in a long while, and it was just so beautifully done, so, so
Mhm.
beautifully done.
And that's why I think it was really important that it was a small part of the ending Hamlet play scene. But when Anya's first goes and the place first starts, she doesn't understand what they're saying. And it's a bit
Mhm.
of a humorous moment. And Bartholomew, her brother, is like, well, just like, just keep
Let's just keep
watching.
watching.
But it's important that she doesn't get the language. And most people
Mhm.
don't, even people born in Shakespeare's time. He wrote more elaborately than even his audience. But
Right.
when she locks in Agnes and she starts to feel, like you can
Mhm.
tell. And this whole film, I think, is saying that, because it's not just about grief, it's about relationships, it's about love, how we communicate with each other. And here are two people who seem opposites to each other and how they see the world, how they interpret the world, how they express themselves, but they can come together in a single moment through feeling the same thing in different ways, but feeling the same thing. And it culminates into this beautiful moment where the actor playing Hamlet touches Agnes's hand, and then the entire audience reaches out towards them in this inexplicable moment of connection, which was just gorgeous. Again, just a gorgeous visual to truly show us what's happening and not tell us what's happening.
Yeah. And that image of the reaching of hands almost like again, like reminded me of nature in its essence of like a tree and its roots. And it
Yeah,
was just like
Danny. So beautiful.
and yeah, it was just everything like connected back to each other and Chloe,
Chloe,
your
you're
mind and your
mine.
vision, I don't know what to say, girly.
And I think I wanted to say that we touched on this in the Darling Words a bit, and you and I both read the same article. I will link it if I can find it, about this year's awards race and how the Academy or other voting bodies and guilds might favor, I guess, quote unquote, more traditional female performances, in that, like, we had a lot of feral women this year. We had Rose Byrne in If I Had Legs I Would Kick You. We had Jennifer Lawrence in Die My Love. We have, Amanda Seyfried. I haven't seen Testament of Anne Lee yet, but I'm so excited to. Just women being quote unquote feral, quote unquote difficult. And in the article, the journalist phrased Jessie Buckley as this, like, more traditional, like, grieving mother, and more palatable, but I think she's feral as hell in this film. And I think that
Yeah,
that is an kind of an unfair grouping of her, separating her performance just because we see motherhood, and when you're grieving your child, like, we see that as more docile than, all the things that Rose Byrne does to protect her child and to mother her child in her film,
right.
and what Jennifer Lawrence does with her like, I don't know, I just found it very interesting that we have to see a mother cry to make her more palatable. Like, that's kind of
Palatable?
what I got from the article, which I agree with many other points in the article, but it just kind of struck me as, why are we separating her from the feral women category when she did nothing but advocate for herself and stay true to herself and literally lay in dirt to feel connected to herself and nature in this film.
But also, like, a key component, as we were talking about earlier, a key component of her character was her being compared to a witch. Like, her being told that she is a witch
Is there anything more feral than a witch?
and a witch.
But all that to say, I'm so happy that her performance and this film in general is getting the awards buzz it deserves, because feral or not, this was an incredible piece of cinema. And if you walked out of there with a dry eye, I fear you're a robot. I fear. The
Yeah.
best place to cry is the cinema. It's dark, no one's looking at you. My cross to bear is that I'm a highly sensitive person, but I have a fear of crying in front of people, so the cinema is my place to go. Let it rip,
Yeah.
let her cry.
I agree. I
Ugh,
agree.
amazing. Well, the last thing that I wanted to touch on with this film is that I could not sit here in front of a fan fiction expert, a keeper of canon, in my wife Danny,
Stop.
a keeper of the recipes, and not
Now you
mention that.
outed me as a fanfic enjoyer.
But listen, all roads lead back, because Chloe Zhao, again, loving her press tour, said that she was a very famous fanfiction writer in China, and she will never give us her pen name. That is her right. But it
Fair.
just goes to show about this. I know we talk a lot about IP, and I highly recommend you guys listen to this interview with Chloe because she has such a beautiful and grounded approach to IP. You know, people talking about the industry is risk averse and we're going back to IP. And she's a director who's really floated
Mm,
between independent cinema and huge IP.
uh,
And she talks about, you know, going back to originality. Original just means the source, just means the
yeah,
beginning. Being inspired by other works, we talk about it all the time on this podcast. You can still create a quote unquote original piece of artwork being inspired by other artwork
right.
and letting yourself live in that world and imagine and create your own storylines. And I just think, you know, fan fiction really gives us the greats, you know?
All I'm saying is I very rarely trust authors, who haven't dabbled in fanfic as a youth, so that's all I'll say on that.
It seems to be in the starter pack of Academy Award winning and nominated filmmakers. I don't know, the more we dig.
I don't know.
So now let's rewind to Wild Rose.
Oh my.
Oh my. Danny, do you want to give a little summary to the listeners?
Yes. So, we start with Rose coming straight out of jail, and she's a recently released felon. I'm going to assume that it was a felony. And she comes
It
home.
was drug possession. So is that
I
a
think that is
felony?
a felony.
This is a film podcast, not a law podcast. So
But nevertheless, she comes out of the jail, and she goes home to her mom who had been taking care of her 2 children, and she wants to continue on her journey that had to stop while she was in prison of becoming a country singer, and her path to Nashville, where she thinks is where she will make it big and, break into the country music scene. And this film is kind of that journey, and her journey as a mother, and a journey of redemption.
mhm. And it should be said that this movie takes place primarily in Glasgow, Scotland.
Let's go.
So Rose
Yes.
is Scottish, and it's kind of a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke throughout the film that
Mhm.
she was born in Scotland, but she wants to be an American country
American.
singer. But yeah, I love that you kind of brought up her motherhood in this film. Rose
Mhm.
is only 24. She had her 2 kids I think she said before she turned 18. One of them's 8, one of them's
Mhm.
5. And I think there's a lot of really lovely and juicy commentary on us having this perception of freedom and the freedom that you do or don't have if you do or don't have kids, and the
Mhm.
struggle of motherhood and freedom is all just beautifully wrapped up in this film about a woman wanting to pursue her dreams.
Absolutely. And there's one, like, scene where we talk about the motherhood, and she works as a what they call a daily woman, but it was a cleaner for this rich family, and the mother of this rich family is like, "Do you want kids, Rose?" And she's like, "Yeah, one day, just not now." And it's, like, kind of heartbreaking because you believe it. Like, in where this scene happens, you can see her struggling to be a mom to them, and to balance motherhood with her wanting to go after her dreams, and you believe, like, yeah, she might wanna be a mom, but right now she doesn't, and her priorities are not her kids, and
Mhm.
her priorities are her achieving this dream, and getting out,
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think in that way, I would argue that this film is a coming of age film, even though we don't
Mm,
think of like a mother as having a coming of age journey. But ultimately, I think this film is about her accepting herself and her
mhm,
life and where she is, and that she has to do that first before she goes like on any sort of journey to become a singer. Because the I guess she does lie to the person she's working for that she doesn't have kids. I mean, she doesn't outrightly lie, but she kind of just she lets her believe that she's this young 20
she's
something that doesn't
yeah.
have kids. And you see in this pivotal moment in the film where she confesses that she does have kids and she has been to jail, and you again, Jessie Buckley, every time, girl, you make me cry
Mm.
because just that moment of her, you could see it in her eyes of her finally accepting herself and not, to put it frankly, not seeing her children as a burden, because
Mhm.
she does, you know, for most of the film, see her children as a burden, and I think anybody would if you were trying to pursue your dreams and due to your life circumstances and your choices as a teenager, that you now have 2 children who you love and you see her like, it not that the struggle is beautiful, but Jessie Buckley's performance is beautiful, of you seeing the struggle between her loving her children and kind of wishing that she didn't have
Didn't
them.
have
And
them.
that's so
Yeah.
hard for a I mean, I'm not a mother, but that push and pull, like,
Mm.
must be excruciating.
Yeah, absolutely, and what predates that scene that you were talking about of her
Mhm.
and Susanna, was Susanna was really the first person to genuinely believe in her and to genuinely believe in this dream of hers. Not really her mom. Like her mom was kind of like, you need to grow up and you need to be there for your children. And like I completely get where the mom is coming from. No shade, no tea to the mom, because it had to have been so hard for the mother to be taking care of these kids and to basically watch your child ruin her life in a way that you think is ruining her life. But
Mhm.
Susanna is a constant and an encourager. Susanna gets her to submit a tape to the BBC producer. That's one of the only BBC producers that distributes country music on the radio, and she's able to have a meeting, and Susanna pays for her to get a train into London and to really, like, she's really backing her um to support her dreams, and this climax that Kara was talking about was when Susanna was like, "Okay, we have to get you to Nashville, like, this is what your dream is," and she throws a party for herself, but she throws a party,
For
and
herself.
she's going for herself, and she's gonna have, and I think it was what, her 30th birthday or something? It was, like,
50th.
50th, oh my gosh, her 50th birthday party, and she was like,
Mhm.
"I used to, like, have these great parties," and so I feel like she was seeing parts of herself and the dreams that she had to sacrifice and the things that she had to sacrifice in motherhood, and she's seeing all of this in Rose and is like, If I couldn't give that to myself, then I can give this to this young woman, and I can encourage her, and I can, like, push her forward on this path that she wants to go on." So she throws this party, and she invites, Rose to be her headline singer, her entertainment at the party, and before that, the husband drives Rose home, and I don't know if you also
Susanna's
had this.
husband, yeah.
Susanna's husband, yeah. Horrible, horrible gut feeling because he pulls over, and I just had this horrible, horrible gut
I
feeling
was
that he was
scared.
going to assault her,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh my god," like, I just my stomach dropped, like, I was like, I was so worried, I was so worried, and no, he did not assault her, but he did
Mhm.
basically tell her that he knew that she just got released from prison, and, like, he accused her of scamming, his wife, and you could see that what that did to Rose, and you can see the emotional turmoil, and it led to that kind of, realization that Kara was talking about of, like, I made my bed and I have to lie in it and I have to grow up and I have to do better. She is like, "Okay, I'm gonna be a mother now," and it leads, and for this very long synopsis,
I'm
but it
with
leads to
you.
one of what I think is, like, the best
Yeah.
moment in the film, which is when her mom is seeing her, uh, basically be a really great mom. Like, her mom is seeing her really grow up and take responsibility and take care of her children, but you can also see the mom, like, realizing, like, that's her baby too. Like, that's her baby, and she sees the light that just got sucked out of her and the hope that got sucked out of her, and the mom ends up giving her money to go to Nashville from the tips and I guess savings from her job in a bakery, and the mom is like, "I yes, I wanted you to grow up and, like, to do better, but I never wanted to take away your hope." And that broke me, like, I did cry. It was, like, the mom coming to this realization of, like, "I see you." Like, it was the first time that the mom actually
Mhm.
saw her in the whole film, and yeah, it was heart-wrenching.
That scene was also one of my favorite scenes, and it's a testament to Julie Walters, who plays Rose's mom,
Mhm.
because she really surprised me. Like, that character really surprises you because, I mean, understandably, due to the circumstance of her daughter has, been incarcerated, so she has to take care of these 2 young kids, like, she has to step up to the plate and be a mother while her daughter is not being a mother to these kids, and the whole film, she is blinded by Rose's irresponsibility or what she perceives. I mean, it is irresponsibility, at times, and what she perceives as her kind of casting off her children when, in her heart of hearts, Rose is trying to be somebody so that she, but I guess I think her motivations are a bit muddled again because she hasn't accepted herself yet, but she's trying to make something of herself that she ultimately believes will be good for her kids, but she's, a bit twisted up along the way. But not only does, like you said so beautifully, the mom see her, but I think the mom sees herself because there's this
Mhm.
amazing line where she's talking about how, yes, I made the decision to, start working as a teenager and stay here and not go to college. And even after I had you, I didn't, pursue higher education and she's like, she admits this secret dream of wanting to be a pharmacist and wanting to,
Mhm.
study sciences and she just has this beautiful moment of genuine reflection where she's like, you know, I don't know if I didn't pursue those dreams because I truly didn't want to or because I was scared. And
Yeah.
I don't want to be teaching my daughter that it's normal to give up yourself when you become a mother, which is
Mhm.
such a hard struggle because having a child, you do have to give them the world and you do have to give them huge parts of yourself in your life. But
Right.
that you're seeing, Julie Walters' characters kind of realize that there is a balance to be struck and you do have to be responsible for your children, but you know, if you don't go, you'll never know, sort of a thing.
Right.
And I think this scene is bolstered by an earlier scene. There's a birthday scene, and Rose is blowing out the candles, and her 5-year-old son is like, "Oh, mommy, you didn't make a wish." And Rose says, "Oh, you can have mine. You can have my wish." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Like, that is such a quick, metaphor for her just being like, you as my child now get all my wishes and all my dreams because
Mhm.
they're not for me." And then, towards the end of the film, we do strike a balance and, she finds a way to be there for her children and make incremental steps towards her dreams. But yeah, it was gorgeous and it was a really hopeful film. I know, like, there's
Yeah.
some hard things that happen in it, but, like, it's full of so much humor. Jessie Buckley is so funny in this film because her character is just so brash and so just, like, doesn't give a fuck, like, and, she has
Mm.
such a charm to her through her ambition. Yeah, it's just beautifully wrapped up in this balance of dreaming and loving and, um,
Mm.
it's great. And also I just love that, her kind of mantra is, country music is 3 chords and the truth.
What got me, and I think this is so funny because this is, like, such a country thing, is that,
Mm.
like, anytime they were like, "Oh, country and western," she's like, "No, just country," and I'm like, "That is so spot on." Like, that is
Yeah.
so funny, and it's so spot on because a country singer would do that. Like, a country be like, "I'm
Mhm.
not western, I am just country.
I'm country.
I am country." And I love that.
And also did not know that Jessie Buckley had a voice like that.
No, that was a
Hello?
really that was she was yeah, really good. Really,
Like,
really
what can
good.
she not
Beautiful
do?
voice.
She was in the West End production of Cabaret. I did forget about that. But I'm like, get this babe to Broadway. Stat.
Stop. No, she was really good. It was really brilliant. Yeah.
Mhm. It was gorgeous. So, highly recommend, and just love, like, I love discovering films that kind of have these niche intersections of, like, this Glaswegian woman who wants to be a country singer in
Mm.
Nashville, and I guess ultimately that is a bit of a metaphor for her, like, not wanting to be where she's from, not wanting to be who she is. She wants to be somebody else.
Mm.
And then in the
Mhm.
end, like, the country song that she ends up writing is about her roots and,
It's yeah,
where
like
she's
there's nowhere
from.
like home. Yeah.
Yeah.
That ending song, that got me.
That was a
That
bop.
that
A
really
sad
got
a
me.
sad bop, but a bop
I was I was
nonetheless.
like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna cry," kind of
Mhm.
situation.
And I loved that Susanna was at that final performance, because you do
Mhm.
have a fear in the back of your mind that once, or at least you feel Rose's fear, that once she confesses to Susanna that she's not this free 20-year-old who's chasing her dreams and she does have children and she
Yeah.
has been incarcerated, like, but Susanna's like, I still support you. Like, and she brings her kids to Rose's performance. So I love that. That was a very, like, it
That
was
was a
just
good Easter egg,
it was an
yeah.
insert shot, but it let us know, like, the wrap up to that character's journey, which I thought was
Yeah.
very necessary. Small, but very necessary. So, loved it.
Loved it.
Shall we fast forward?
Oh, please, let's.
So, for today's fast forward, I was thinking about, what do I want to yap with my wife about? Like, there's so much going on in the industry, especially as we gear up for Danny's favorite season, awards
Award
season.
season.
But I don't necessarily want to talk about the awards and the nominations. We will get into that as we have later episodes and we're following
Yeah.
campaigns. What I wanted to talk about was this article that I read, and I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting. I agree, but I also have many disagree points." And with
Okay.
anything that I find interesting, I immediately wanna talk to Danny about it.
Why am I, like, nervous? Like,
Don't be nervous.
okay.
Don't be nervous. I'm gonna give full context of some of the article's points, and then we can dissect them.
Okay.
But I will link this down below. This is a New York Times article by the journalist Kyle Buchanan, and it is entitled, "Can Timothy Chalamet Break the Oscars Curse?" So, what he is talking about is, I guess, this pattern or phenomenon that he as a journalist has picked up on is that historically, actors who have won the Best Actor category award at the Oscars, in the female Best Actress category, many of the winners are young women, as in under 30, in their 20s, ingenues. But in the male category, most of the men who have won Best Actor have been well over 30, and there's only, I think, one or two instances of somebody in their 20s in recent years winning. So
Mhm.
he goes on to make this point of this Oscars curse of this category favoring older, well-seasoned men, and he talks about Timothée Chalamet's performance and how if he wins, he will be one of the youngest in history in this category. And he talks about, this phenomenon called the girlfriend gap, which is this phenomenon where straight men tend to dislike male actors if they're popular with women, if they've done romantic roles,
Mm.
if they have been seen as a heartthrob of any kind, or if they're just a young, stylish, good-looking guy in Hollywood that women are
Mhm.
attracted to. Straight men, when polled, tended to not like those actors. And he brings up Hudson Williams and Connor Story from Heated Rivalry, saying that these are actors that should go on to huge film careers, but that he predicts they might be stunted by, all this love from straight women and this heartthrob sort of chip, like, that people need to, like, brush off. And he wraps up, well, he mentions that, and I wanna be very clear about this, he mentions Michael B. Jordan in this article, and I want to say on the record, I do not think age is the reason that Michael B. Jordan has not had accolades from the Academy that he's deserved. I think we can all see the biases in Hollywood that may have contributed to that. So
Mhm.
hard to disagree on you with that one, Kyle, but it's okay. And then he wraps up the article by saying, with this phenomenon of young men needing role models and this male loneliness epidemic, if young men see younger men winning Best Actor in this traditional media of film and not influencers and not male podcasters, that it could be good representation and helpful for young men. Now, I think this is so interesting, and I want to bring up a
Mhm.
couple points that we should yap about. The first thing that struck me when reading this article, and by the way, much love, Kyle. This is really interesting and it got me thinking. And I think that is the sign of a good piece of journalism is that it
Mhm.
starts conversations. Agree to disagree. That's what humans are for. But I would argue that the reason that more young women win this accolade is because women are praised for being young and being ingenues. Like, women are at their
Yeah.
societal and cultural prime when they are below 30. Like, that is
Yep.
just statistically a trend. And men are allowed to slow cook. They are. They're allowed to
Tea.
slow cook and they're allowed to have ventures and side quests in their careers that I think that historically women haven't been able to have.
Hard agree. Hard agree.
And I, again, like, every woman that I think has won, has deserved it, and vice versa with the men. But I just think that it's interesting that he's choosing to hone in on the age of it and saying, like, oh, there's this curse on, men don't get to win until they're older. And I'm like, well, they get to have longer careers.
That's tea. And I can see a point in that as well, in the age of it all, and I'll give this to him. I will give this to
Mhm.
him on that, is that oftentimes it feels more like a lifetime achievement award than
Mm.
a performance award, because even looking at Leonardo DiCaprio and all of these, he was basically the butt of a lot of jokes, and
Yeah.
when it comes to the Oscars, because we all, like, we're like, "Will Leo get it this time? Like, will he finally get the Oscar?" And there
Mhm.
were so many performances from when he was younger that were arguably, like, he should have won for those. Like, you could
Mhm.
have argued that he should have won for this, and it went to a different older actor. And so I can see where he is getting that. I do feel like sometimes, at least recently, that the male category of Best Actor at the Oscars has kind of felt like a lifetime achievement award. And
Mhm.
as you were saying with the women, women don't get to slow cook as much as the men do. And women are, as you said, are praised and peak in their career at a certain age. Like, a lot of them aren't really allowed to venture into offshoot and to try different avenues. And so I can see why they would be younger, and I don't think that Hollywood celebrates older women. Anyways,
Period.
period. Like, even looking at Pamela Anderson in The Life of a in The Showgirl, sorry, The Life of a Showgirl,
Mhm.
in The Showgirl,
The last
and
showgirl.
The
That's
Last
what it was. The
Showgirl,
last.
and Demi Moore in The Substance, you know? Yeah, I don't think Hollywood celebrates older women, in the way that they do with younger women, and I do think that that is a point as to why they get an Oscar at
Mhm.
a younger age.
It's almost if the Best Actor award is a Lifetime Achievement Award, then Best Actress is kind of like one hit wonder, like Fresh New
Mm,
Voice,
yeah.
which both are valid. And I think what we're saying is like it's not that the curse, quote unquote, doesn't exist. It's that why does it exist? Like,
Why
why does
does it
this
exist?
trend
Exactly. Like,
happen?
what are the systemic practices put into place in the systemic issues that are put into place that cause this issue to happen? The Oscars have gotten a lot of heat for a lot of things rightfully anyways, but yeah, I do think that this is something that should be questioned. And Kyle, I'm glad that we're bringing up this question. I'm glad that we're bringing up these topics, because yeah, like, how are we picking, or well, how are they picking their actors, I mean, at their awards, and I do think that we've seen oftentimes, as I said before, it is more of, for the males, a lifetime achievement award, and you could look at their performance and be like, was this the performance that they should have won the Oscar for? But I will say that I have watched Marty Supreme, and I've watched a lot of Timothy's performances. And again, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. Okay. I feel like I have to say that 5 times because I know I don't even know if there's film bros that watch this, but I know they're going to smell what I'm about to say and they're going to come for me. And I can handle it. Do I think that this is the performance that should win him the Oscar? No, I do not. It could be a curse breaking thing that Kyle was mentioning, or it could be his own little version of a Lifetime Achievement Award. Though he is young, he has put in work. Okay. He has
Yes.
put in stellar performances, and I can name at least 4 different performances of his that I think that deserved the Oscar more than this one.
Mhm. Yeah, it's tricky. I think award shows are a beautiful thing. I think celebrating art in any capacity is needed in society, and voting by your peers, I celebrate that, great. But I think we can all agree now, in the year of our Lord 2026, that award shows do not exist in a vacuum, and
Mm-mm.
entire industries exist to help films reach people. And whatever campaign that takes, that is all like in a positive way. Winning an Oscar is also a PR award in a
Mhm.
positive way, as in like you guys were a part of achieving that as well. Like like that's celebrating the film holistically. Like PR and advertising is a part of the film budget, is a part of making a film. So that
Yes.
is celebrated. But in celebrating that, we also have to consider like with all these artists who have years of work that you could argue for or against were better or worse than the things they're nominating for. Like, it's the ecosystem of the award year, of the other films that came
Mhm.
out that year, of society, what's happening in culture and politics. Everything contributes to who wins. And that's great for us because we get to dissect it and we get to analyze it. But yeah, and it breeds articles like this where you're picking up patterns and you're seeing like
Mm.
how does this industry work and what are the trends, and it's just so interesting. And I do think that the girlfriend gap point is interesting because we talked about it when we when we gave out our lifetime achievement award for movie star of the year, and us distinguishing there's a
We
big
did.
difference between an actor and a movie star.
Movie star.
And I think this reinforces that rhetoric that you can't be both, or at least you can't be both and recognized by critics in the
Mm.
Academy. I mean, okay, I know that huge IP and has won at the Academy before, don't come from me. But in these trends, if you have done a rom-com or you have done huge IP, like you're not considered auteur and you're not it's not like
Mm.
critical like
Mhm.
catnip. So it's interesting that statistically straight men were polled and actors that women, loved, lusted over, whatever, they didn't like.
No, I get that. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Okay, my final question to wrap this up is Kyle Buchanan makes this point that one of the benefits of a younger actor winning Best Actor would be younger men seeing somebody, and he has this line where he says, "Young boys today don't grow up saying they want to be Oscar winners," which I don't know if that's true. I haven't polled the youth, but I do think that there's a lot more media for younger people to consume. And so they are getting, influencers or
Mm.
podcasters or people in the digital media space. I don't really want to separate traditional and digital media, but for the sake of argument, I will.
Yeah.
So, do the children need a younger best actor? Do you think that that's important representation for younger men or boys? Do the kids need an Oscar?
Here's what I will say. I will always advocate for younger representation only because I think that the younger pool of actors that we have right now, especially the ones that we were talking about in the Darling Awards of our breakout stars. I think the younger pool of actors that are coming out are incredible, and I think that they are really pioneering change in the industry. I think that their minds are brilliant. I think that they're ushering in a new energy into cinema. And we mentioned this before, that Gen Z is saving cinema. And so I do think that we are kind of ushering that change in and of ourselves. Do I think men need to see a younger man win Best Actor? I don't know if I can argue for that. I don't know if that's what they need to see. I think they need positive, and emotionally regulated male influences, younger male influences.
And
I
there it
do think
is.
that. I do think they need to see positive younger male influences in media. I do think that they need to see men who are very secure in themselves. I think they need to see men that are smart and intellectual and curious. Yeah. So that is what I will say.
Wow, what a speech.
Sorry.
No, never apologize. I love when you rant. No, I'd agree. I think I'm also like, one, I think everybody should be represented. Representation is important in every
Mhm.
category across the board. And I also think that, like you said, young men just need role models in general. But I'm also like, I think this is more of a reflection to pivot. I think Kyle Buchanan brings up an excellent point, and what this trend is actually pointing to is not the academy at all. It is the society that we live in. And
Mm,
if we are so desperate for young men to be inspired and have positive role models, and for the pendulum to swing back to the center in equality of the
mm,
genders, this is just a symptom of that. Like him
yeah,
reaching for, we need this for young men, which, yes, we do. And I'm not saying we don't, but I think this has less to do with who's winning Best Actor at the Oscars and more to do with what is going on in our
broader.
communities, in
Yeah.
our politics, in our culture. So, does that make sense?
Yes. I
Okay.
I I understood you perfectly.
Okay, great.
And again, yeah, as I said, I think the crux of it all is what it needs to boil down to in the Oscar race is who gave the most compelling performance? Like who deserved the award for the performance that it is being nominated for, not for what they've done in the past, not for any performance or film that they've done in the past. Looking at the nominations and the films and the performances that are being brought to us this year, who gave us the most compelling performance?
Mhm.
And it needs to be judged in a bubble, in the bubble of that year.
Yeah, we always forget about the bubble, don't we?
Don't pop it.
Don't pop that bubble, Academy. Anyway, great. Well, I just wanted to have a little yap on that. I love finding think pieces like this and discussing them.
Actually, another thing, I wanna come to the I actually wanna touch on the Hudson and the Connor of it all.
Yeah, I was surprised
My
that you just let that breeze by. Those are your 2 those are your 2
my
sons.
2 my 2 newest clients? Yeah, my 2 newest clients? Yeah, come to the front because eh, here's what I will say on them. I have not seen that level of, like, overnight stardom since
Mm,
boy band era, and
yeah.
when we were talking about what makes a movie star, we were talking about a breadth of film. Like your catalog is has range. Like your catalog has range. And we're looking at some of the greats like Matthew McConaughey and Brad Pitt and George Clooney, movie stars who have done a range of films but are also critically acclaimed actors, you know what I mean? But they're all acting again for the love of the game, for the love of the game. And that is what we were saying about Glenn. Like he is taking projects because he loves that project or he thinks he's going to have fun with it or he puts
Mm-hmm.
his all into it and he doesn't care if it seems auteur or if it's like another rom-com. You know what I mean? Like he is acting for the love of the game and you can see that in Hudson and Connor and that is why I am so hopeful and so optimistic about
Mm-hmm.
their success in their careers because A, both of them charismatic as hell. First and foremost, people are saying that Hudson, my personal client, he signed on to the Danny agency. My personal client, Hudson Williams, yeah, they are saying, oh, he's not media trained and like he just says what that boy. Once he is media trained, nobody can tell me otherwise. He is media trained because there is a certain level of charisma that you have to achieve, but it has to be balanced. Like there's a control in his charisma and he can use it. He can use it and he can control it and it's so palpable. And yeah, like he is my client, okay? And as I was saying, I think that they are really in it for the love of the game. If you've looked at their catalog before this, especially Hudson, he's a film student. He is a film student, okay? He has studied this. He studied this. He's been in short films. He is in it for the love of the game. And I think that is going to influence the projects that he puts himself in the future. And so those, if we're talking about the male loneliness epidemic, those are the type of men that they should be looking to. Like these are men who are emotionally intelligent, who are very secure in themselves, who are outspoken and charismatic and like really going for it. And they had to work. They worked. They worked. They got off their asses and they worked. Okay. They were both like waiting tables 8 months before Heated Rivalry was filming. And before all of this happened, they were putting in the work. They were putting in the work. Okay. So if we want role models, let that be a role model. They didn't stop. They didn't give up on their dreams. They pushed through. And now look at them. Blew up, blew up.
So,
Anyways, now I'm done. Now I'm officially done. I'm sorry. Anyways,
listen, all I'm gonna say is that if you can take How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and turn it into Interstellar, why would you not want to follow that roadmap? Why would you not want to follow that roadmap?
your mind, your mind, your mind.
I mean, you want to be popular enough to win an Academy Award? Win over women early in your career. And
Win them over.
I guarantee you will win one.
I'm telling you, anything that Hudson and Connor are in from now until the rest of their lives, I personally am locked in.
Oh,
Locked
and
in.
I mean, we need to wrap up this segment, but it also just gets
It
me
was fun.
thinking about like fandom and just
Yes.
how that turns into different like commercially viable things, especially as we move into a sphere, like I said before, where this quote unquote traditional media and digital media are merging. But I'm just so excited to see like the fans that are so 10 toes down and feral for them now,
Uh,
like, and how that's going to transfer into the box office and to the other parts of their
exactly.
career, like where Robert Pattinson is now, like decades
Uh,
after Twilight, and now he's,
oh
an
my God, you are
auteur
so right.
actor. Kristen Stewart making her directorial debut. Like it's just going to be so fun to see the trajectory of that. And like that does take strategy, and I'm sure that there's frustrations in people putting you in a box when you're, so well known for something and them having to struggle with their own artistry, which I'm sure happened. But I just think they did it so well and they did it so gracefully and they never like shit on Twilight, and like I'm just
Uh,
excited to see Hudson and Connor go on that same journey, and where are they going to be
that
in
same
10 years? What
journey.
projects are they going to make in 10 years? And I hope now, like, and I think this is a testament to like the franchises that were at their peak when we were younger. We are now seeing those actors transition in their
Come
career.
into
Like
their own,
we're seeing their
yeah.
reconnaissance, if you will.
Screaming. Trademark that now.
I have to give credit to my dad for that, the reconnaissance.
Tom? Mark that now.
With that, I'm really gonna move on. But this has been
Yes.
such, like, this episode is actually how our brains work. Like, so if you could follow this, you're a true darling. Truly.
Yeah, this was actually a chaotic episode, and for that, I'm both sorry and not sorry.
No, because this is real. This is
This
me.
is me.
With that, we're gonna roll into our last segment of what gave us pause this week. So, Danny, I think we should start with you, and then I'll take us home. So, what gave you pause this week?
When this episode comes out, I will be a few days into a new job. Guys, I'm no longer unemployed.
Guys,
Wow.
please DM Danny on the Pause Pod account and congratulate her because she put in the work, okay? The devil works hard. Danny works harder, and I'm so proud of her. So please congratulate her.
Thank you. She's no longer fun employed. I no longer get to live my very luxurious life as a stay-at-home daughter. I really appreciated that time in my life when I could just lounge about and do whatever I wanted. I think that was a really fun period in my life, and I will miss that.
Shakespeare had the lost years, and so you had to take some time for yourself as an artist, you know?
Exactly. And so I will be moving to Charlotte, and I will be starting a vroom vroom job with Le NASCAR, which is very cool, very fun, very sporty spice, you know? And
It's gonna make
what I'm getting
NASCAR cute, guys. That's what she's gonna do.
make NASCAR for the girls. But it's funny, I bring this up because I had to break it to my class, my youth group class that I teach, that I was no longer going to be here, that I was moving, and I teach juniors, so fully teenagers.
What is that
And
for our British listeners? That's like, what's that, 16, 17 years old?
yeah, they're like
Mhm.
16, 17. That's what, like sixth form, fifth form, one of those
Sixth form,
forms. Sixth
college, I
form.
don't know.
I think so, but I had to let them know, and the guys were like, "Excuse me? You're leaving?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, I'm so sorry, I'm working for NASCAR." And they're like, "NASCAR? Can't be mad that you're leaving, girlfriend. Cannot be like, can't be mad." And I was like, "Okay." So I earned major cool points with the 16 to 17-year-old boys in my class. They have never in their lives listened harder to words that were coming out of my mouth. And I was like, okay, if that's how I get your attention, then I will take it. So it's been like a very bittersweet, like, few weeks for me, as I've been like packing up to get ready to go. But obviously everyone is super proud and like really excited for me on this like new venture. So yeah, I feel unpaused, but like, yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's always great when life gives you an opportunity to listen to Landslide by Stevie Nicks, you know? Like, when you can really dust that song out. That's one of my favorite times in life. I love just dusting that song out on, like, public transport and just, like, thinking about life. But what I mean is, this is a really exciting new chapter, and
Yeah.
maybe you're the role model that teenage boys need.
I'm screaming. Maybe I am.
Maybe it's you.
Maybe it's me. What gave you pause?
Okay, big topic shift, but I wanna talk about leaves. I wanna talk
What?
about leaves, as in the things that come from trees.
Yes, I okay, no, keep going. I'm just
So
confused because it's not fall anymore, it's winter, the dead of winter.
exactly. Y'all didn't think that you could have a beautiful experience with a leaf in winter, did ya? But I did. So so, for context,
Mind
I
you, you have leaves behind you currently.
I do. I do have leaves behind me currently. These are leaves from, if you know, you know, Victoria Park. I stole these leaves and I encased them in this frame, and I did give them to different loved ones one year for Christmas because I'm just adorable. But the leaves I am talking about. So I went for a wintry walk, which I've grown to love. You know, sometimes walking through a park in winter when it's freezing cold outside, and London has been freezing cold. Like we've gotten some snowy snow, which is gorgeous. Sometimes it's hard because sometimes you're cold and wet and you want to go home. But I was walking through a park, so, and I was looking around, and all the leaves that have fallen in autumn were on the ground, but they were frosted over, like iced over, and they were
Okay.
sparkly.
Oh my God.
And it
That's
was just
gorgeous.
this, like, if I'm gonna be like dramatic about it, it was like this great, like, flash in the pan moment in time where it's like one season is ending and another one is beginning, and the leaves that have all fallen now have like wintry frost and sparkle to them, and they're probably like gone by now. They're probably like, you know, decomposed, wet, deteriorated. But when I was walking through, I just looked down and I was like, the ground is sparkly. And it was one of those like rare, like dry and sunny winter days because usually London has a lot
Yeah.
of wet,
Wet
gray, cold
and
winter
gray.
days.
Yeah.
Um, and I was just like, "Wow, like, in my life, I've never seen a sparkly frosted leaf, and now I have." And it genuinely gave me pause. I'm nothing if not honest. I had to say the truth of what gave me pause this week.
That that is like precious.
I know.
That's like that is precious.
And I was like, "The darlings will understand."
No, they will. They will. Oh my gosh. I love.
Mhm.
Well, I'm so glad that you got to experience those sparkly leaves.
Thanks.
There's not a lot of joyous winter moments that you can find in London, to be
Right?
completely honest. Because as you said, it's wet and dreary and just maddeningly cold.
Mhm.
But I'm glad that you had that moment.
Mhm. I will probably spend the rest of winter indoors, but you know what? I had a great moment with my leaves.
Did you take a picture?
No, and I was kicking myself. Well, I took a picture of, like, frosted sparkly grass, which I will send to you, but
Okay.
I didn't take a picture of the leaf, and I was kicking myself, but then I was like, "You know what, Kara? You were in the moment. You were present. It's okay."
Right. No, right.
It's
Right.
what I tell myself to feel better.
No, you were in the moment. You were in the moment, and
Mhm.
you don't need to apologize for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, moral of the story is, get a job and look at a leaf. Oh my god, we're so done. We gotta wrap this up.
Um, no, the moral of the story is to enjoy the season of life that you are in.
Mhm.
Because I think
Yeah.
that
Wait, actually, yeah, smart. She always
I
brings it
think
there.
that thank you. I think that the universe or God or whoever you believe in has put you in this specific season for a reason and to really bask in the present. I know that it's hard to bask in the present currently, but it is important that in times such as the ones that we find ourselves in, to
Mhm.
seek moments of joy, um, to be able to encourage us through these kind of rougher times, and you will never again be in the season that you are in currently. So
Mhm.
whether it's a good season or a bad season, just note that like this will never like this time and place will never happen again. So enjoy the season that you're in whatever way feels right and true and authentic to you, and be present. Be present in the moment and take a picture of those sparkly winter leaves
Mhm.
and hug your annoying students and really enjoy where you are planted so that you can see where you will grow.
Oh my god. I mean, to also quote my favorite prophet, Danny, um, "A season may not be good to you, but it could be good for you." When
That
she
was my
dropped those
Instagram
bars on
caption.
yeah, when she dropped those bars on Instagram, I said, "Oh, I just got 10% smarter."
Thank you. But yeah, take that with you. This
You
season might not be good to you, but it can be good
good for
for
you.
you. And find the ways that you can grow in whatever season that you're in. And with
Love.
that we
And with
leave
that
you.
and with that, we
And with
leave
that,
you.
we leave you.
Thank you for listening to your favorite chaotic but intelligent besties. If you want more of us, please say hi to us on socials, Pause Pod Girls across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And if you liked what you heard, please share this podcast or give us a 5-star review. We are trying to grow this darling community, and yeah, we want to find our people. We want to find the rest of the darlings. So please share this with somebody you think you might like it.
That's all I got.
Bye.
Bye.